Hello? Ooh. I'm going to sing. Okay. So we're still, people are still coming in, so we're going to give it about 2 or 3 more minutes. And then we'll start. Yes, sir.
So we're not going to use the presentation. I couldn't get it to work, so we'll just do it without it.
Okay,
Good.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, Rose. Okay. I'm watching the chief come in, I hope. There he is. I knew he would come in. I'm going to put this. You know, there's like 4 or 5 3-day weekends that show up throughout the year when we have our meetings. And I'm always surprised if there's one person in the audience. I'm surprised that I show up to stand up here. So first, so I want to first thank all of you for coming. You could be many of the places on this 3-day weekend, but you chose to be here, to be informed. True, I know that, I know that. But as Victor would tell me, see, Victor, to this day, speaks to me every day. And today he told me, as he normally does, go up there, dress nice, and don't be a fool. I can do one of the two. That's about it. All of those that are in your cars driving, listening to us, thank you. Those of you that are on Facebook Live, those of you that are listening on the radio. So your reach is much more than just those that are here, but you should know who's here. That's true. Over and over again. So we're going to start with introductions from the audience so you know who's here, and we'll start right here with you, Herman. Just stand up and give your name and your organization.
Rosa Amador, CEO, Conexión de Community, co-founder of the Raza Roundtable as well.
Lori Ramos Chavez, Vice President, Connection to Community.
Jose Guerrero, waiting for Gabrielle, with board member of the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ+ Community Center.
I wasn't expecting this at all, so I'm just going to say I'm Jay Tabu. I'm CEO of Akita Construction.
I'm Steve Preminger. I'm part of the county.
You know, you're sitting next to Steve. When you're sitting next to him, Expect the unexpected, anytime. Dennis King, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Development Center.
Catherine McBain from the Office of the Independent Police Auditor.
Tony Bada, District Attorney's Office.
Corina Herrera Loera, Alum Rock Union Elementary School Board Trustee and also candidate for Alum Rock.
Good evening, buenas tardes. Mayra Garcia with the Enlace Program at Evergreen Valley College.
Hi, my name is Ronaldo Gill, and I'm with Paleo Tech Group.
I'm Veronica Dubé. I'm with Bright Futures with Conexión to Community, and this is one of my students from Overfelt, Giselle.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Caroline Mireles Saylor with Conexión to Community, Program Manager of the Day Worker Center, also recruiter for Bright Futures Mentoring.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Damon Silver. I'm assistant at the Public Defender's Office.
Danny Garza, president of Troublemakers here in San Jose, and my grandson is with Enlace. I love it.
Good afternoon or good evening, Raul Colunga, co-founder of La Raza Roundtable on their executive board, retired county bureaucrat, and many, many other things.
Buenas tardes, Carla Torres, county employee with El Comité under Social Services, but also La Raza Roundtable, and also a troublemaker.
Yvette Valenzuela, San Jose resident.
Dr. Michael Ibarra, I'm the program director of Primero Wright Stutz residential program for criminal justice men coming out of custody.
Manu Martinez, KCXU, we're airing live.
Hello, Enrique Flores with DFCS.
Do you want to introduce the students?
Hello, everyone. I'm Adriana Vasquez. I'm with the Bright Futures program. My name is Kelly, and I'm with Bright Futures.
Sorry, my name is Oliver. I'm with the Bright Futures program.
Dr. Peter Nguyen, Family Medicine, Board of Connection.
That's okay. Rose tells me what to do all the time. Okay. The persons up here we're going to introduce as they speak, so let's get started. We are going to save time at the end, so those of you that are from a government agency, a nonprofit, if you want to make an announcement or something, please do it at that time. Rose is going to have that bell. We just ask you, Rose is going to decide how much time and how loud she rings the bell. But we have two great guests tonight. One of the things that for the county that we deal with is CLEM and OCLEM, which is really oversight for the Sheriff's Department. That's my description. So I'm interested really in how much of the model that's in San Jose we can take and move over to the county. It's important for us to make sure that everyone is held accountable. But I think I was told you've been here 3 months? 3 months. He hasn't had time really to meet everybody, but this is his opportunity. But we're going to have Catherine introduce him, who's been coming here all along saying, don't worry, we really are going to hire somebody. Don't worry, we're really going to hire somebody. And we did, so.
Thank you, Bob. So I'm an analyst at the Office of the Independent Police Auditor, and at 14 months, I am the senior office person. So Eddie has been very brave to take on this very, very kind of, I'll just say young office. I like to be called young. But we really appreciate all of his experience, his leadership thus far. It's only been 3 months, but things are getting on track. We're really starting to see a lot of the foundation that he's hoping to form. He's making great strides with the community. Before he even started, he was out at Cinco de Mayo with me at Emma Prush, talking to people. He's really motivated to serve the community. He has a passion for the work, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate him as a boss, so I'll let him do the rest of the talking. Eddie Aubrey, our new independent police auditor.
All right, I just wanted to get my time schedule all set up there. My name is Eddie Aubrey. I'm the new independent police auditor here for San Jose. I've been here 3 months. I'm going to go through a slide program here. Some of it I may skip just for time, but I think it'll be a good overview here. The first thing I want to make sure I get the elephant out of the room, and that's going to be through the first slide, I think. Oh, thank you. That's what my wife says. All right. Yes, I was a police officer. I was a police officer, and this is just a brief history. So I was a police officer way back in 1980. So I'm a little bit older than I look. I know I'm going to look very young, but that's a young person there. Actually, that picture you're looking at, I was a Santa Monica police officer in 1980. I went over to the Los Angeles Police Department in the mid-1985. The reason why I became a police officer was that I wanted to make a difference and add value to the community I grew up in. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, so I got a job with Santa Monica, and then I moved over to the city I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. That's why I wanted to be an LAPD officer. And the biggest thing for me, being an officer, is my background is I'm African American. My dad's African American, and my mother's Korean. And in Los Angeles, I saw a lot of different things involving Koreans and the black community, especially Koreans being taken advantage of. And so I sat there as a kid going, I want to do something about that, and that's why I became a police officer. I really wanted to make a difference in the community and in the community I grew up in. So that's what I did for a period of time. But in 1994, a little incident occurred that you might have heard of in Los Angeles, not 1994, 1991, involving Rodney King. That made me ask another question of myself. Am I making a difference here? Am I really being impactful in the community I grew up in? So I switched after 15 years in law enforcement. I decided to go to law school, and I went through law school and graduated there. I became a prosecuting attorney for the King County in Seattle. So I handled a lot of the duties for district attorney's office, just like normal trial rotation. I did that for a little while, and I also got another job at the same time, which was as a judge pro tem. So I was a judge pro tem for about 10 years in various municipal courts. So I did a lot of that work, and also at the same time, I also went on to run a community college law enforcement agency at the same time. And then I asked myself another question, and an opportunity came up. Am I making a difference like I wanted to do? I've done all this stuff, but am I being impactful? So I got another opportunity in police oversight. So I was the first inaugural police auditor in the city of Fresno. We oversaw the Fresno Police Department. I shouldn't say we. I oversaw the Fresno Police Department because I was the only one. I had half a staff. So that's just me out there after an officer-involved shooting, holding a press conference. So that model here, which I'll talk about a little bit, is exactly the model that we have in San Jose. But after that there, I took a little time off, did some other things, and then I got an opportunity to do this over in Richmond for the last 8 years. So Richmond police make a rare move in investigating misconduct. So I was a civilian, and I ran internal affairs within the police department. It wasn't a lieutenant, it wasn't a sergeant, it wasn't a captain. I ran internal affairs investigations from the inside. So I supervised police sergeants doing the investigations, and my recommendations went up to the chief. Very different model in civilian oversight, and I'll just talk about that in a minute. Then the opportunity came up here in San Jose, and I jumped at it because it was the same model I had in Fresno. And in Fresno, I will just tell you a little bit about that. In Fresno, one of the biggest pieces that we had outside of doing the, making sure the investigations were thorough, complete, and accurate was community outreach. Did a huge piece in community outreach. And we did we did surveys on community outreach and how impactful that was not only to the community, but how impactful that was to the police department. And it was all positive. So that's what attracted me back to that model, this model here, because as I'll talk about here, there are 5 different models of police oversight, and I know that sometimes the discussion is that those models or some of the models don't have teeth. In Fresno, that's exactly what they said, we didn't have teeth. Yet and still, in the first year, we had 121 recommendations. The chief accepted all 121 recommendations, and they were put in place. You can have impact regardless of teeth. It just depends how well you work with everyone else and all the stakeholders. And so that's one of the things I think I do well. So model of civilian oversight. There are 5 models. The commission board is one model. San Jose has a version of that involving IPAC, the Independent Police Auditor Advisory Council. It's been dormant here for about 2-3 years or so, and we're looking to get that reestablished back in the community so that we can have community input. Other civilian oversight models, the commission board, those models are a little bit different depending on what the needs of that community are. Some of them solely are a voice for the community, and that is it. Some of those other committees actually do some review. So there's different models in that, within just that one session. Number 2 is the Inspector General model. That sort of looks at policies. It looks at systemic issues within law enforcement. So they do a big 40,000 level look at it. We don't have that model here. That is becoming more popular in the nation. The third one is investigations, and that's the one I did at Richmond. But most of the times in civilian oversight is their own investigators outside of the police department doing investigations of some type. It may be full investigations, it may be partial investigations, but like I said, in Richmond, because I ran internal affairs, it was the full investigation. Number 4 is the auditor monitor model. The monitor was the one I was in Fresno, and the auditor model is the one here. And I just talked about that a little bit. The 5th one is the hybrid, which is the hybrid one that I did in Richmond, because there are probably maybe 2 or 3 agencies in the country that has a civilian running internal affairs investigations. That's it. The other one on the hybrid model, we are sort of a hybrid model here in San Jose. We are the auditor model where we audit investigations, but we actually participate in the investigations. And we actually go to the interviews and we ask questions of officers involved in that investigation. If we were truly an auditor model, we wouldn't be involved in that. So that's why we're a little bit of a hybrid, mostly an auditor, but partially a hybrid model too. And I just put that up here because this is one of the things I've been working with our office in getting this message out, is what our mission is. Because what I've talked to the community, everyone has a different idea of what civilian oversight is. One person says, hey, civilian oversight is to go ahead and terminate all police officers. Another model says, well, it's only to look at what's going on. And another model says, well, they do part of investigations or what. So I want to make sure that everyone understands what the independent police auditor in San Jose, what our jurisdiction is, what our authority is under the charter and ordinance, because that's where we have to start. So it is to provide independent oversight and build trust in the complaint process by objectively reviewing investigations into police misconduct. So that's looking at the investigations. And I can tell you that from history before me, but also working with the previous chiefs, Chief Mata over there, Chief Joseph, the same thing. They do provide the information. It's not redacted information. We get the full police reports, the body cameras, so we get to look at all that stuff. The same thing the investigators get to look. So that's what being objectively reviewing and independent and building trust. The second thing is engage with the San Jose community through outreach, and that's exactly what I wanted to make sure that we continue to do, and I've been working real hard on trying to do that as much as I can here in the last 3 months. And the third is to propose well-considered policy recommendations. And all of those things have to stem from our investigations, not investigations, our audits, and they are all aimed at enhancing the relationship between the police department and the community it serves. I was asked a question in the interview panel when they said, because I actually used that terminology, I didn't even know it was in there, and it was about enhancing the police department. And someone asked me, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, by looking at investigations, looking at it, providing sound policy recommendations, discussing what's going on, and trying to find a solution, getting a result. So those are the things that that is our mission to help impact positive change. How does the IPA impact positive change? I think I just talked about that a little bit. Take civilians' complaints. So if someone doesn't want to make a complaint to the police department, you can make the complaint with us. One of the other things I'm going to fly through, actually, is that if you don't want to come to us to make the complaint at IPA, you don't want to come to the police department, you can actually now file a complaint with POST, the Peace Officers Standards and Training. So you can actually file a complaint there. It'll come to the police department and us, but that's just another place where you can go ahead and file that complaint. You can review and suggest, we review and suggest allegations from complaints. As I said, we review all the body-worn cameras. We attend the officers' interviews and ask questions. A lot of places will have someone like in civilian oversight there, but they can't ask questions. They can listen sometimes, and sometimes they can go ahead and ask the investigator to ask questions. But like I said, we can actually ask questions. And one of the things I do want to make mention about this one is because it takes cooperation. And it was through the cooperation of the police department, but the cooperation of the San Jose Police Officers Association that signed a side letter to talk about that and say, yeah, we are in agreement that the auditor can ask questions directly to the officer about whatever it is going on, and that the officer has to answer those questions. So that was a collaborative thing that happened before I got here. So I like to see that continue. Community outreach, policy recommendations, and we produce an annual report detailing what we have here. Alrighty. These are just stats from 2023 about how many complaints came in, how many investigations were complete. I think it does talk about, one of the other things that was established, used to be we could only review and audit citizen complaints. So there's another component. When the department initiates its own complaints, we didn't get to look at that. Again, through, I think it was Measure G, that became part of what we can do. So now we look at all the complaints regarding any police officers, whether it's citizen complaints or complaints that are generated within the police department. And that gives you a better holistic view of what's going on. These are the sustained case rates. And from 2019 to all the way to 2020, as you can see, the sustained rates gone from 7% to 24%. Now, the question is, what caused that? I don't know. What I can say, I think, from the past has been the collaborative work of the IPA's office and the police department and the community working together to go ahead and look at the complaints and look at them objectively to come to those results. Changes in state law, this is ones I'm not even going to address real quick, but as you all know, from 2018, there were a series of Senate bills and Assembly bills that have gone through that increase the ability for the public to get police officer records, to review police officers' investigations, and that has increased from SB 1421 to 748 to 1506 regarding officer-involved shootings, to SB 2 and SB 16. So all of those things there have increased the more transparency that citizens and other community members can see about officer investigations. And the police department has been lockstep with providing those things, providing the access. Again, that's what I talk about, it's the work together. That's my 15-minute timer. That's the work together to go ahead and make sure that we're working towards the same goal. Specifically in San Jose, these are the things I already talked about. Measure G, that was in 2020. The side letter that was signed by the Peace Officers Association in 2021, that actually we can ask questions directly in an interview. We can also request to add allegations of other misconduct to that investigation. And we have access to certain records prior to disclosure. And the last thing we have there is community outreach. We go out to a lot of community outreach events, and my first goal was to do as many community outreach events as I possibly could, running Catherine ragged for the first 2 months. And then when we got to the third month, I said, okay, we can slow down just a little bit because it was just a lot of different work. So that's my presentation there. The one thing I did want to mention just to end is that one of the biggest things that I'm working on right now to start with is setting a foundation for the office so that we can set a legacy, so we have building blocks. The office has been around for 30 years, but I want to make sure that it goes on for another 30 years with a foundation, and that means agreements with the community, agreements with the police department. We all agree on what is going to happen, how we're going to do this, and how, with the intent of making it better for all members, members of the community, and members of the police department. I think that's what's most important. So that's what I'm working on, and I only say that because in April, Florida banned all civilian oversight. The state of Florida no longer has civilian oversight. That was banned. Tennessee is on the same track. So that's why it's important for us to coalesce, build what we have, make it strong with the community, with the police department, so that it stays established and we stay connected with legislatures and politicians and make sure they know how important this is for the community. All right, thank you.
So we're going to entertain 2 questions, but he is going to stay around because he wants to eat, but also to meet with all of you, one-on-one or whatever. So if there's 2 questions, we can take them now. If not, we can wait till we break to have something to eat.
Just curious to know how things have been with your community engagement and how you've been accepted in the community and how the community accepting you, showing up and sharing kind of what you're doing to support them.
Well, I've been happily involved with community engagement, and I've seen a lot of people, but the one thing that I was dismayed at, that not many people know of the IPA office, and that's what really was like disappointing. And I said, so we can't go out to all the community meetings, so that's why I'm looking for groups like Raza here and other groups to go ahead and work with about getting the message out about what we're doing and what the concerns of the community are. And I think that's really important, so because the chief and their crew, they hear a lot of things, but sometimes they may not hear the things that we might hear at different things. So that's where the community engagement, and not only with the community, but more importantly, not more importantly, but also other parts of the community, the business community, the government communities, and the police department, because they are part of the community. So that's one of the things that I've observed, but I'm really excited about working with the community and listening and trying to make, like I said, aiming for that goal so that we all just get better.
I find it interesting that we have the district attorney's office, public defender's office, police department, and the IPA here. I don't know many places I go where I find that, where they're all, and they stay through the whole thing. So I just want to thank all of those agencies for being here, because 3 months isn't a long time, but it feels like a long time if you're involved with anything that has repercussions on you, your children, your family. So we will be in touch. How did I know it would be back here? But there is one thing that he talked about, the IPAC, which is a community-based advisory group. And Rose used to be on that. We found out in our meeting. So we're going to do what we can to make sure that it comes back. He says it's going to, and that we're involved, so therefore all of you can be involved. So we have one more question.
Okay. So working for a progressive DFCS, we hear a lot about institutional racism. So a question for yourself is, in those 30 years, out of all the complaints alleging racial bias, what's the percentage of findings that has occurred through human error?
That's a good question there. And I have to think about this. Yes, it is in our annual report. There would be none. So that's one of the things that I think is important, because what I've heard from the community, that's a lot of their questions. And if there's a lot of those questions, then we need to try to talk about those answers. So that's something that we can't stay away from. And I know that the chief and the police department don't want to stay away from that either, because they want to handle that head on, just like I do. I want to handle it, and the community wants to handle it. We want to know, hey, we want to know what's going on about that issue. So no, that's something, and I think there'll be further discussions about that. So thank you for that question.
So those of you that had other questions, we're going to just bring it back at the end, but I do want, I missed this step. Thank you very much. And he's not leaving. He'll be here. I missed this step. You know, it occurs to me sometimes that Victor's right. Like I said, I still talk to him every day. Every day. Well, I take it back. He talks to me. I don't get a voice. But he said, don't forget all of those things that we do. And today Rose said, what happened to that agenda we used to always have out? And I'm thinking, I can remember that. Hell, I can do that. So what do? I say, I'm not starting until the chief gets here to do the invocation. As soon as he gets here, we start, and I forget the invocation. So I apologize, Chief, but I want you to come up and do it now if you could. I feel better if we start with a prayer. At least then I'll have a prayer.
Thanks, Bob. And a prayer is always good, beginning, end, middle, whatever. So if everyone can bow their heads, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day and for bringing us back together. Thank you for providing us with our necessities and give us the strength and courage to help those in need. Lord, please guide and watch over all those who returned and will return to school. We ask for your continued comfort and support so we can care for our loved ones. As we come together today, give us the patience to listen and understand one another so that we can make a difference in the lives of others. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Chief, I just want you to notice how he's dressed. In the DA's office, that's the uniform. Daniel Little is here today to present and talk about the whole agency. If you haven't read anything in the newspaper, if you haven't seen something on TV, you have to live under a rock, you know. This is an opportunity to actually hear what's going on in the agency from the point of view of the agency and the department itself. It's important that if you've been on an elected body, there's a whole set of rules that goes by what you can say and not say at those meetings. I get that. I always like to have somebody come in that's part of that department, part of that agency, wherever it is. I don't care if it's public defender, the PD, the district attorney's office, because they will have a point of view that we need to listen to before we decide what we're going to do. And I really wondered if I was going to get a phone call and say, you know, I really can't make it this Friday. And that never came. He showed up early and brought help. At the end of the day, and I think it goes back to what you said, if you're committed to helping this community, you do it in every role you're in every way you can. Sometimes you all get to the same place at the same time. Many times you don't. But that doesn't mean that you can't continue to work towards helping those that are most in need. And I look at the county as the kind of agency that provides those kinds of services to those most in need. So we need to be able to help them, if we believe they need the help, to get it right, and to help those of us that are representing persons that are using the services. So at the end, after he presents, we're also going to have 2 questions, but he's going to stay. I'm not sure how much is in those dishes over there, but hopefully I have to keep your wallet here so you can eat and ask questions. But if you can't, what I'm going to ask is for Tim to hand out little cards, because if they don't get to your question, we'll just give them the card and say, could you still answer the questions that the community had? So with that, I'm going to introduce you, Daniel, to come up, and then he can decide how that all works. And then, Chief, then we're coming back to you.
And thank you for having me. There was no way I was going to miss today because I was previously on an agenda and I got bumped. So when I got the time now, I wanted to make sure I made use of it. So welcome. It's good to see so many of you. I'm Daniel Little. I'm the director of the Social Services Agency. And I did bring our team. I'm very happy to have our full executive team here to be able to talk in more detail about the services that they provide. Social services with the county is one of the largest public agencies in the county. So we're the second largest behind the health and hospital system. We have close to 3,000 very dedicated staff across dozens and dozens of programs. I think we serve in a calendar year, close to 1 out of 4 residents of our county have some contact with the social services program to provide support. We provide very critical safety net services across child welfare, aging and adults, employment and benefit, veteran services, and we do that in partnership with the community. And that's something that I really am here to ask about is that community component. I think that we have a lot of very specific mandates that say what we can and can't do. We have very specific rules that we have to follow. What we don't have are the guidance on how we do that, and the ability for us on our own to identify what are the needs within the community. And that's what we need to rely on community partners such as yourselves, is to really help guide us on what are those important needs from the community. How do we meet those needs? Again, for all of the 3,000 staff we have, we rely on many, many more community-based organizations that are embedded within those communities that provide those necessary supports to communities. So, I am very excited to have our team introduce themselves. Happy to answer questions. We try to do our work with empathy and compassion across all of our programs. And it's something that I expect and something that, again, I want to make sure that everybody that has contact with social services is better off for that contact. And that's something that I want to get feedback on. So I know that I've talked with Bob about how I can get more involved with the work that's happening here. And that's something that we're going to be doing across many of our sites. Excited to see many of our DFCS staff and many of our county staff here. And I think it's not a surprise that many of those staff are also very invested in our race equity work within our agency, something that's very important to us. And in many of our departments, we see historic disproportionality of who we're serving, and not in a good way. So not that we're over-serving people and giving them too many benefits, but it's over-serving people that's disproportionately negatively impacted. So very proud of the work that our staff have driven. We have staff-driven organizations that have been there since the 60s. And I think the staff really make up the energy and the excitement of our organization. And we're really here to help guide and provide resources to those staff. So again, I'm very excited to be here. Looking forward to talking to you after this. And I'll turn it actually over to Sarah Duffy to give a brief introduction. She's our new Deputy Director at Social Services.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today. I don't actually have a presentation prepared, but I just want to introduce myself. My name is Sarah Duffy. I started as the Deputy Director for the Social Services Agency in June. So I've been with the agency about 2 months now. And before that, I actually was in the county executive's office. So my role there was, I was in a very unique role that I really enjoyed. It was called the Chief Children's Officer role. So some of you have actually met before in that role. And we did, I oversaw an office which was brand new to the county on children and families policy. So my background is very much focused on how do we make as many resources, services, and supports available to communities with a real focus on kids and families. So I bring that perspective into the work that I do, and I'm very excited to be here tonight to see some of you that I've met before and get to hear from you and meet and make some connections here as I broaden the work that I'm doing with the county within the Social Services Agency, and the scope expands to be not just children and families, although that's a really, really important area of the human services, but also individuals, seniors, and different communities all across the county. So I'm very grateful to be here to meet you and looking forward to working together with you all. And I'm going to introduce Ilona, I believe, who oversees our Department of Eligibility and Benefits.
Good evening. My name is Ilona Betkoya. I'm the Interim Director for Department of Employment Benefits Services. If you're unfamiliar with what our department does, we provide safety net services to our community. What those safety nets are, I'll go into details of what they are, but it's essentially to meet the needs of low-income individuals and families. One of the programs that we offer is Medi-Cal, which federally is known as Medicaid, California version of Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal benefits are offered to low-income individuals. There's 3 categories for eligibility. One is based off of California residency, income, and household composition based on their tax status. Just to put things in perspective to what Daniel was saying of how many people we serve, in our county, we serve over 415,000 people are Medi-Cal recipients for Santa Clara County. The programs that we offer include Denti-Cal, which provides dental coverage for both children and adults 21 and over who are eligible with limited services. So it includes exams, x-rays, and cleaning and fillings and full denture and other medically necessary dental services. The other program that we offer is CalFresh, which is formerly known as food stamps, and with the CalFresh program is offered to both individuals and families. CalFresh program is growing quite a bit in California. Specifically in our county, last year we served over 130,000 community members who participated in our program. That's 8% increase from the previous year and 21% increase from 2022. So as the economy impacts our community, the services we provide are needed more. We also offer a cash assistance program for our families that's known as CalWorks, and that's offered to families with children. So it could be a single parent or a married or couple together with children that have children under the age of 18. There are some restrictions. There's a time limit of 60 months. That could be extended if they meet some exemptions. Through our CalWorks program, we had seen a decline, but in the last 3 years, we're seeing a steady increase. We have served 14,000 members last year. 10,000 of those were children. 4,000 were adults who are also participating in our CalWorks employment services, which I'll get into. We also offer services for our refugees. So we offer cash assistance and Medi-Cal for our refugees clients in the first 12 months of them having refugee status. We also offer cash assistance for trafficking and crime victims for a short term, for certain immigrant survivors of human trafficking. We also have a program that's county funded called General Assistance. That's actually a program that provides cash assistance to the most vulnerable in our community. So people that have no children, no dependent, no income at all. We have a CalFresh. We have a component to our department that's employment services. So we offer CalFresh employment and training program. essentially provides our CalFresh recipients with opportunity for job search, vocational training, work experience, and that is at no cost to them. For our cash recipients, we have what we call a cash assistant employment services. So we provide them the same services we offer our CalFresh client, but we're also able to provide them with transportation, childcare needs. We do partner with a lot of our community members through our cash assistant employment services and through the benefits that we provide. A lot of our community members are able to take applications on our behalf. So if any of you are interested in being as what we call assisters, assisting the county in getting applications from the community, let us know. We'll sign you up for that. But what I wanted to pitch is we have a safety net meeting that we have with community members every, there we go. That actually stresses me out more. We, sounds good. We have a safety net meeting where we collaborate with Second Harvest in partnership with Second Harvest Debs and Second Harvest hosts a community meeting. For right now, our meetings are held third Thursday of each month at 12 p.m. And those are virtual meetings for now. We're looking into possibly changing those to either quarterly meetings or in-person meetings. So if any of you are not on that distribution list and are interested in attending, please see me. We'll be sure to add you on the invite and the email distribution. The email distribution is our community organization sharing information, opportunities, and resources with each other and essentially with the community. The work that we do is all reliant on our staff, like Daniel was saying, and the efforts that they make to serve the community. So we are here to serve our community, but that's essentially a brief description of what Debs does, and I'll stop and pass it on to Damion from the FCS.
Fix it for you. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Damion Wright, DFCS Director. I'm here to talk a little bit about what our department does, as well as what is our pathway forward. So in regards to Department of Family Children Services, for those of you that know about communities and been in communities, we are what was called Child Protective Services. We are the social workers that go out, knock on doors, make sure children are safe, support families, and we have to do that through community partnerships. That is our mission, and I'll repeat it. We have to keep children safe, we have to make families strong, and we have to do that through community partnerships. Those are the three components that help drive us in what we're trying to do as we move forward. There are some pillars that you have probably heard about in our Board of Supervisors meetings, and that is safeguarding children, workforce support and development, and again, building key partnerships. The work that we do cannot happen without our partners, and the work that we're trying to do with our families as we struggle with fentanyl, substance use treatment, as we try to support families that have domestic violence issues, as we struggle with families that have an issue in regards to some of the things that go on in the communities where they need some help and some support. We are the social workers that go out to those families and try to, again, make sure those children are safe, make sure those families are supported, and putting things in place so we can make sure that there is no cycle of families coming into our system. Daniel talked about two very specific things that we are trying to look at. One is disparity and disproportionality. One thing that is very specific to this group and conversations I've had with Bob and others is that we are very different from other counties. We struggle with our Latino, Latinx community being represented doubly in our foster care system. That's disproportionate as well as disparate. We also struggle with our African ancestry, 4 times the population in our foster care system. And those are some things that we are trying to course correct on, as well as priority, keeping children safe. And so those are the focuses that we're looking at as we drive this department forward. And I'll leave you with a couple of objectives that we have. One is we have to have the right intervention from the very beginning. So that means when you call our hotline, which is 833-SEC-KIDS, again, 833-SEC-KIDS, families can get support through that hotline. There are multiple services and programs that we offer, which is called differential response, which offers support to those families to, again, get them the right intervention. We also generate referrals if we need to go see families. So again, they can get the right intervention. The second objective, we have to engage families, and we have to do that through a cultural lens. So we have to make sure that we have bilingual social workers, culturally proficient social workers, and making sure that we engage families where they are with the race equity lens. The third part is, you hear me say this all the time, for those of you that know me, we have to keep our eyes on and arms around our children. This is how I grew up. And Mr. LPA down there grew up in South Central. I grew up in Watts. I grew up in the projects, Avalon Gardens. And that's how I grew up. Not just my dad, which passed away, not just him watching over me. A bunch of people were in my success of getting me into a very successful, I think, life. Because we were a community. We made sure that we watched out for each other. And that's what's important. As we work with you all, where are those communities at? How do we work with you? How do we work together to, again, make sure kids are taken care of? And we have eyes on them, and we have people that care, that are surrounded by them. The last piece is making sure that we get better. We have to get better not only for ourselves internally as a department, but we have to get better because our families are dependent on it. And so that's my commitment to you. And I'll also repeat something Bob has told me. I am like a firefighter. As you all know, it's pretty hot in DFCS right now. And that doesn't mean anything to me other than we need to get better. We need to get better, and we need to get better quick. And so those are some of the words that I'll leave you with. Those are the partnership, maybe mantras that I want to also leave you with, is that not only do we want to get better, but we want to get better together with you. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Mary Ann, partner in not crime, but partner.
Thank you, Damion, for not telling them about the crime. So I'm Mary Ann Warren. I'm the director of the Department of Aging and Adult Services. And we have a mission of promoting a safe and independent lifestyle for older adults, dependent adults, and the disabled through a delivery of protective services, quality nutrition, and supportive in-home services. And we're a little bit different because we're made up of 5 separate programs within the department. The first is adult protective services. We investigate referrals we receive from, mostly from the community, allegations of neglect, abuse, financial abuse. We collaborate with our clients. We try to link them to services. We try to get appropriate interventions, hospitalization as necessary. We have several great community partners we do this with. And we try to stop and prevent abuse from happening. And we've also developed, here in Santa Clara County, we were one of the first in the state to have a financial abuse specialist team, FAST. And we meet monthly with the public defender, or not the public defender, the district attorney, county council, adult protective services, public guardian, and we discuss these financial abuse cases because, frankly, it's easier to steal somebody's home from out from under them than it is to rob a bank, and we see it a lot. We try to notify people, get public word out when there are scams. If somebody calls you and asks for information, please don't give it. If somebody calls you with something that's too good to be true, it is. Please don't. So in many ways, we're like DFCS in terms of the services we offer and the connections to resources, but the main difference is adults can say no. They're entitled to self-determination, and they don't always want and accept our help, but we are there to provide it. The other area where we provide a lot of support is in-home supportive services. And the goal of this is to keep people aging in their own homes for as long as possible. This is the only program within the agency that requires Medi-Cal, not within the agency, but within Aging and Adult Services. This requires that the eligibility of Medi-Cal. And we go out, we do an assessment and investigation and determine how many hours of care someone needs to be safely provided in their own home. And then that person is then responsible for hiring their own provider. Most are family caregivers, but we work with our local area agency on aging called SourceWise. They are our public authority, and they train and certify home staff care providers. We have about 27,000 active participants at any given time, and there are also about 27,000 providers at any given time. We have a multidisciplinary, multicultural approach. We have staff who speak, I think we have 8 or 9 different languages of staff right now. We try to make appropriate matches for staff and caregivers. And we just try to keep people in their home as long as possible. The public guardian, public administrator, public conservator is a little bit different. This is court appointed. There are 2 types of conservatorships. The first is a probate conservatorship. Those are generally for people who have some sort of cognitive brain impairment, dementia, traumatic brain injury, and they're unlikely to get better. These are people who are referred to us generally from hospitals and adult protective services, and we petition the court to become conservator of their person, which means we handle all their medical affairs and their estate, and we also have to provide house, or not provide housing, but find housing, appropriate housing, and we have to petition the court for special medical powers to provide any sort of psychotropic drug. So those people are with us generally for their lifespan or until another conservator comes along. The other type of conservatorship is a little different. It's the public conservator, which is mental health, or LPS. And these are people who are gravely disabled and unable to provide for their own food, clothing, and shelter. So they are only referred right now when they've been on a 5150 psych hold and sent to a psych facility, and the doctor signs off on it. So they can be held for 24 hours, then 72 hours, now, and then the court can file, or the hospital works with the court to file a petition for temporary conservatorship. And within 14 days, a hearing is held. And if somebody is on a mental health conservatorship, it's for 1 year and then renewed annually after that. So the goal of these is to get people the right therapy and the right meds and the right support to make it in society without having to stay conserved. Most people do go from a psych facility to a locked psych facility, and we work on stepping them down to an unlocked facility, to a care home, to supportive housing, to independent housing. Then we have the public administrator, which handles decedent affairs. So these are people who don't have anybody to clean up their estates. So we have many who have no estate whatsoever, less than $1,000 total. We have others. We had an interesting case this week where the staff went out to a house. The decedent apparently knew he was dying, had no family, left clues all over the house in little sort of fortune cookie size paper, little hints and clues and puzzles. Long story short, the staff found $390,000 in cash hidden in computer towers after they broke the code. So every day is a little interesting. And then we have our senior nutrition program, which has about 40 congregate meal sites, and our Meals on Wheels program. So we have, I think we have close to about 3,000 people getting meals daily. We did 1.8 million meals last year total. We have 18 different types of food available. We try to be ethnically sensitive. We've just started a medically tailored meals program, people who need appropriate meals for diabetic and heart diets. And we just opened a restaurant in East San Jose is now doing our first restaurant voucher program. So people who are going to congregate meal sites can go to a restaurant and actually order what they would like to eat. We are celebrating our 50-year anniversary of the senior nutrition program in October. And we have only a staff of 10 doing this, which I think is amazing. And we ensure that 1/3 of the RDA recommended dietary allowance is met with each of these meals. Lastly, we have something called a Seniors Agenda program, which was started about 15 years ago, 11 years ago actually, that was sent to sort of be a liaison between the community and the agency. So we were the first county in the country to become entirely age-friendly, meaning each city within the county became certified as age-friendly. We do network summits twice a year. We have one coming up on September 25th, which is on our website, or I can give you more information. And that will be on public space and accessibility for all. And one of the other things we do is something I was happy to see right across the street. We do something called Senior Safari on Thursday mornings, the last Thursday of the month, or the fourth Thursday of the month, between April and October. Right across the street, it's Happy Hollow. Seniors can come in early. The park opens at 10, but they open for us at 9. Little opportunity. They have docents leading animal tours, and the rides are open, and lots of swag. So if anybody would like to join us, it's on the last Thursday in September and October this year. And I just want to say, just very apolitically, I was watching the Democratic National Convention, and Michelle Obama was speaking about the work of people who work for social services and government employees. And I just want to say how proud it made me feel. And I think the work we all do is pretty amazing. And just thank you all for being here on a Friday night. And now I will hand it over to Darlene Escalante from the Veterans Office.
Very short, so I got to put this a lot lower. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Darlene Escalante. I am the director for the Veteran Services Office in Santa Clara County. I am an Air Force veteran. I served in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Has anyone in the audience served in the U.S. military? I know of 1, 2. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And I'm sure we have family members of those who served as well, and I thank you for your service as well, because I know as a military spouse and military member, there is a level of sacrifice for families as well, so thank you. The Office of Veteran Services at the county advocates for all veterans in Santa Clara County, and in Santa Clara County, there's approximately 65,000 veterans. That's not including their family members. We assist them with obtaining benefits through the federal VA and some state and local resources as well. These are benefits that they've earned and are entitled to. And unfortunately, a lot of service members, when they separate, are not aware of these benefits, are not aware of what a VSO does. And there is a veteran service office in every county throughout the state. In VSOs, there are veteran service representatives. Those are the heart and soul of the VSOs. They assist veterans and their family members and some military members with the development of their claims, whether it's a disability compensation for injuries that occurred while on active duty, or for burial benefits, educational benefits for their children or for themselves. Those are just some of the types of benefits that we can assist veterans with and their families. The difference between veteran service representatives in VSOs versus other organizations that can assist them with obtaining those benefits is that we are accredited. We have access to the VA systems, and we have advantage of looking into that claim and following it along the way and intervening before a mistake or an error occurs at the VA's level. And we are also free. We do not charge. Veterans and their families can come to us as many times as possible From development all the way to the appeals process, we represent them and it's free of cost to them. And in our office, we have a social worker. We are the first VSO in the state of California to have a social worker program. It is funded through the Prop 63 mental health grant. And she is out there in the community assisting primarily justice-involved veterans, student veterans, and the adult and aging veterans in the community. She's out, she works with the Public Defender's Office, the District Attorney's Office, along with Veterans Treatment Court and Adult Probation Reentry, and assist those veterans and get them connected to benefits as well. In our office, we conduct a lot of outreach. A lot of you might have already seen us in at different events. We have ongoing outreach, some weekly, some monthly. Ongoing outreach at South County, the VA hospital. We have strong relationships with community partners, including the Palo Alto healthcare system, the VA healthcare system, some community organizations as well, such as Home First, and the local schools, and other social workers in the community as well, connecting veterans to their benefits. I do want to highlight one event that we host, and it is coming up soon. I have the flyer at the front desk over there, and I have it here as well. It is our annual stand down, and that if you're not familiar with a stand down, it's a multi-day event that provide resources to all veterans and their families. Last year we hosted it in July, and we had over 800 veterans participate and family members participate in the 2-day event. This year, it is a 3-day event at the county fairgrounds, and is going to be held on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And we invite all community members, even if you're not a veteran and you just want to check it out and see what that is, please come, register, go on our website. The registration process is there for all vendors, volunteers, and veterans and their family members. This is a free event, and we'll provide services, on-the-spot services for veterans. Some of our county departments will be there as well. And these are services going from the free dental services. VA Healthcare Mobile Unit will be there and providing exams and enrollment through the VA healthcare system. Provide free haircuts, meals. We'll have it's just a ton of resources that are available to veterans. The goal of the stand down is to connect all of these organizations and community partners and provide services to all veterans or families during the 3-day event. And as part of that stand down, we're also hosting a claims clinic. If you are not familiar with the claims process with the VA, it's a long, lengthy process. It typically takes about a year to get a claim adjudicated, meaning a decision is made on whether or not it's denied or approved. Here at the stand down this year, we are hosting the very first ever claims clinic in partnership with VBA, the Benefits Administration, and CalVet. And this offers an opportunity for veterans and their families to submit a claim, go through the exam, and get adjudicated all on the same day. So please let your family members know if if they may be eligible. If they're not sure, please get them connected to our office. We offer a walk-in day every week on Tuesdays. The rest of the week are appointment-based only, but that walk-in day is offered both virtually and in person. And if they have any questions at all about the stand down, please reach out to our office. And the flyers up front and our brochures are up front as well. Thank you so much.
First, I found a phone. So we get 2 questions, but where's Tim? Did you hand out all the paper? So if you don't get to ask your question, tell them what you'd like them to do, Tim. Okay. So I'm going to start here.
Of Latino families in the Children's Protective Services system. I know that's another term that you use for it, but I really want to know what's going on and what we're doing right now, because this has been an issue, a horrible issue in our community for decades. And I'm very interested to see how our organization, the Raza Roundtable, the community, can do something to address this issue. This is a very serious problem and it affects so many families. And we see the same statistics, and I just want to know what's going on in the department, so, civil services, but also what we can do together to address this issue and change it.
So definitely good question. The way I'll respond, and I'll also offer Daniel to talk about some of this because he started it in some of these areas. I'm just messing with Daniel. But all good things come to those who wait. And I'll start with that because there are different things that we're doing at this very juncture. One is something Daniel talked about, which was really embedding a race equity lens for our department. So we have Carla Torres, we have a couple of people, Enrique back there, that really prompt an ability to talk about exactly what you mentioned, which was disparity and disproportionality. That doesn't happen at a lot of child welfare agencies. What I talked about in regards to what is impacting us impacts all of United States. And what we're doing is from the ground up, really trying to have a conversation of how do we work with communities to really look at where we can disable some of those issues that we're seeing with disparity and disproportionality. The first thing is what I talked about in some of my presentation is really focusing on how do we build up our workforce. Not only how do we support them, but how do we bring in the different workforce efforts that really put us in place to really be successful with families. That's, again, having bilingual social workers, having not only social workers that are bilingual but are culturally competent, so they can support families no matter the community and make sure that they're offering them the support that they need in regards to, again, the right intervention. We have seen some differences in regards to our numbers, and again, it's not enough. We still are seeing disproportionality. The other piece that I would say in regards to what are we doing right now is having some really good conversation about looking at what does that family need in the community. One of the things that is really impacting us is substance use, just across the United States. We really do not have Spanish-speaking services for inpatient substance use treatment. We really don't have services for families when we look at what are some of the opportunities culturally based to support them so they do not have to come through different doors. And so that's some of the work that we need to do as a community, because we do need providers to step into that space and provide that level of support to some of the community families that we see out there. So, and I'll turn it over to Daniel to add to that.
Thank you, and just want to echo that's such a wonderful question. And to add to what Damion provided, when we look at disproportionality in foster care, there's the work that we're doing internal. So once a family is working with us, what are we doing? Are we working with them in a culturally appropriate way? Are we making decisions equitably? If we were just to look at how we make decisions, so a decision to put a child in foster care, and we said we're going to make that equally for every child that comes to us, we're still going to see disproportionality just based on the families that are getting called into our hotline. We see disproportionality starting there. And some of the work that we're also doing is how are we working within our other community organizations, so with our other county partners, with our other community-based organizations, to try to uncover why do we see that disproportionality even before it comes to the child welfare door in access to healthcare, access to mental health, access to supports, equitable pay, housing. All of these things lead into what we see on our end in that safety net service. So within the child welfare and social services space, we are looking at through a kind of a children's continuum and how we're coordinating services across county programs. I think that's the first start. How is the county as an entire system meeting the needs of the community? And then how do we, like I mentioned earlier, how do we pull in our community partners to have those discussions? So I think there's some good work happening now within DFCS and within social services. We need to expand that to really our entire kind of community continuum that really impacts the success of our families.
But you also ask about us. There are a number of committees that are meeting, talking about different aspects of everything that goes on within that department. Right now, that effort is being led by 2 or 3 members of the executive committee that are part of those. One of the things as you ask the question, you're never going to know what we're up to if we don't tell you as an organization. And so I was going to ask Raul to be our first person to put an article in our website about the number of committees that we're involved with, what's the possibility of other persons becoming involved in there. So I asked that because and believe me, I'm trying not to look at him because I haven't talked to him about this. But it is important that you know what efforts this organization is putting forth. And it's not just us. It's the Asian Law Alliance, the Black Kitchen Cabinet, the NAACP. So you should be hearing more about what we're all doing with that effort. And so if it's okay to ask you. Okay, so are you taking the second question? Yes. Oh, right. You have to get Dick to agree.
I also want them to address the work that's being done internally by the affinity groups that are part of the Social Services Agency, because they've contributed a lot in terms of some of the recommendations, and changes that need to be happened. But one of the things, and I don't recall because I'm getting old, whether I brought this suggestion up to Damion or Daniel, and that was to look at having the mandatory reporters be retrained and maybe desensitized so that they become also culturally competent, because they're making referrals, whether it's the police department, most of them come from doctors' offices and schools.
There is a question because we're short of time.
Yes, there is a question. The question is if they could address whether that's something that can be done so that
I'm coming back to you.
The numbers are reduced at the front door.
Thank you again, Raul. So me and Daniel are going to tag team this question again. So in regards to the specific question, and I'll actually get some information to your admin people so it can be sent out. What you're asking about is what is the state is looking at across the different counties is mandated supporting versus mandated reporting. And this is looking at how do we look at certain communities where there is over-reports, particularly in communities with people of color, where those reports are generated and create files for families when ultimately they don't need it because they only need a level of support. And so that is what we are going to be working on. There is going to be some work we're going to engage the schools, we're going to engage Connection, as well as some of the groups that Bob talked about, and we will send some information in regards to that. But it's really looking at not necessarily just reducing the number of calls, because if you do suspect child abuse or neglect, you should call in to that number, 833-SEC-KIDS. However, if there's opportunity for community programs to work together to support a family, that's what we want to see, because that is the responsibility of a social worker if they go out. So again, we are going to be looking at what is called mandated supporting versus mandated reporting, and it's to support those families on the front end of the continuum that really just need a level of support and don't need somebody in their lives because there's no abuse or neglect happening. So, okay. And
I think it's funny he thinks we have admin. I'm the admin, and Rose is the admin, and Raul's the admin. So the last question, then the rest of you, please write those down. because we don't want to be able to pass them on, make sure you get answers to them. But Dick, you? So, thank you, Dick. And if you could send us the flyer, then we'll send it out and post it too. And we'll ask the other partners to do that. So with that, see, I see the hand up over here, but I'm going to ignore it because he's done that to me twice already tonight. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to circle back. I'm going to circle back. At some point in my life, I'm going to sit out there and watch him stand up here, and I want to see him in a sports coat and tri-colored shoes. I want to make sure that we have time for you folks to come up and talk to them individually. I know there's questions you want to ask. Actually, every one of them brought something up. One, your whole agency, I didn't know was as large as it was. And I could have used you a few years ago with my parents. But they're here to talk to, answer questions. If they don't have an answer, know that we're going to ask them to come back with one. We need to do better ourselves to tell you what groups we're with, what committees we're on, and if some of you want to participate in those, we will see what we can do to facilitate that. The idea is to take this, even though it's fun to sit down and have a little bit of food, it's really meant to keep you here just 10 more minutes to talk to these people because they matter with the things that we want done to help our community. So with that, what I want to do is the police chief has somebody he wants to introduce. Then we're going to go through those of you that are from other public agencies or from nonprofits. I want to give an update. I want you all to know, though, if you're an elected official, you get 2 minutes. If you're not an elected official, you get 1 minute. And how you'll know is Rose is going to ring a bell. But as soon as the last person talks, then I want you to break, go have something to eat, bring it back, and my hope is they don't leave this table, maybe to go get a plate, but don't leave this table, so you can come up and ask them the questions you want. I really want to thank everybody for coming, but especially the IPA. I said in our previous meeting that I don't recall really being that engaged. Now that I'm a member of CCLM, how many of you are in any kind of county commission? You should do that. Look what commissions they are, if they're area of interest. The Social Services Advisory Commission, if you're interested in how to help them get things done, you should apply to be on that commission. City has the same thing. Sitting out here, we have to guess. If you get on those commissions, we get to ask you to be part of the expert team up here presenting. But Chief, I want to give you a chance to introduce. And then just coming up, if you hear that bell, Rose is not as timid as you think. She will get you to move off of this mic one way or the other. But I really want to say I appreciate all of you being here because it's a 3-day weekend. Councilman, we are going to have you come up, so don't worry about that. The important part is you all came because there's something that was of interest to you and you wanted to help this community. And that's going to happen, and we're going to make sure it happens with all of the other partners we have. So with that, Chief, if you want to start us off.
1 minute. First of all, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Brandon Sanchez. He's an acting deputy chief who's helping with the transition. As you know, since Chief Mata's retirement, the city is searching for a permanent police chief, and Brandon's helping me out in the chief's office while that search is ongoing. Today we had an important day, a difficult day. We had a funeral service for a community service officer who was killed in the line of duty, directing traffic at an accident scene. A drunk driver came through that accident scene, collided with their parked vehicle, which then struck 2 of our CSOs, one of whom unfortunately was killed today. His name was Long Pham. He's a member of this community his whole life, well, since age 13 months. Very proud of the work that he did as a CSO. We were proud of him, and very difficult loss for us. It kind of came right on the heels of us having 2 police officers shot and seriously injured, contacting a domestic violence suspect in South San Jose. So we've taken our lumps lately, but with your support, we will get through it. Several of the people that I see here in the audience right now, that's my minute. Okay, thank you. Let me bring up Deputy Chief Brandon Sanchez.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief mentioned, my name is Brandon Sanchez. I'm born and raised in San Jose. Second generation San Jose police officer. My dad worked here for 27 years and some change. Raised my family here in San Jose. Most of my family grew up in the east side. When I was promoted to captain, thanks to Chief Mata, he put me as the foothill commander, and it was very special to me because of the roots that I had out here. And I love being out in the community. And now working with Chief Joseph, it's been an honor to continue that work out in the community. I'm one of the highest ranking Latinos in the organization, so that's great. I know many of the people in the room with Mr. Santos, Mr. Garza, and council members, so I look forward to working with you some more, and I'm looking forward to having answer some of your questions, but it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm your council member, Bien Duan, in District 7 here. I come here just to see what Bob wear every meeting, so I can't keep up with him. But we lost one of our own. They are my brother and sister because I was in public servant as well with the fire department. And it's sad to see that the first CSO online duty death right here in the city of San Jose. And the enormous amount of help that pour from every entity around the city to see that we support our public safety it's just heartwarming. And I hope that we continue to support them so that they can support us. On the other hand is, I believe in this organization. This is one of the organizations that is worthy to support. And what I did was put on a BD to secure $40,000 for the La Raza. And we continue to do so because La Raza is not about just Hispanic. It's about the community as a whole. And I myself have benefit from the La Raza work from Victor. If it wasn't for his work, I wouldn't become a fire captain. And so, therefore, I always refer back to what the history that had brought us here. And I wanted us to continue as a community to come together as one. Because this is our city, this is our people, and I think that if we collaborate with all entities, including our county and our state, we can make the city so much better than it is. I don't want our city to continue to call the bedroom community. I want us to be the next financial AI hub. We're going to grow in a great way. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
I'm Derek Grasty, Board President, Mount Pleasant School District, and thank you, officers, for your service. We also appreciate the work of the Social Services Agency. Mount Pleasant School District, we're having a wellness center opening at 4 p.m. next Friday, actually the 13th rather. and all are welcome to attend. Also, along the lines of mental health, the 100 Black Men, which I'm also on the board of directors, as well the Silicon Valley chapter, as well as the Bay Area chapter, is looking to support our community, the Black and brown people, with a mental health grant, the Silicon Valley Foundation grant. We're looking at something around $200,000 to support mental health within our community. And so we're looking for Black and brown agencies, including La Raza, who would be willing to join as part of that. And the only obligation is that you would help support, get the word out so that we can help service our community. Thank you.
Hello again, Corina Herrera Loera, here on behalf of Alum Rock Elementary School District. Happy to give an update. We have found our next superintendent. September 12th, we'll be announcing the name, so looking forward to that. And also, if you're wondering about MAXA, we are in the process of receiving proposals. So, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to sit down and not take time here. And then also happy to report that our ethnic studies, which I championed back in 2020, is up and running. So, we're doing great things in Alum Rock, and there's also many areas of improvement. And then side note, I'm on the ballot, as I mentioned, so I'm inviting you all to my fundraiser, which will be in September 23rd. So look forward to seeing you, to continue to support those that are, continuing to champion our families and children in the east side of San Jose. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mario Lopez, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Dave Cortese. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he's stuck in Sacramento with Senate floor session still underway up until tomorrow. And I want to introduce my colleague here, Enrique Flores, as well. He's an honorary member of our office, and we continue to bring him into the fold as best as we can. And now he's going to be speaking about Senate Bill 1299.
Thank you, Mario. Yeah, so Dave sent me a text and sends his apologies. He wishes he could be here. He's stuck in Sacramento. But he mentioned that it was important for me to let La Raza Roundtable know that his bill on the farm worker heat illness bill got passed and is sent to the governor. So.
And if the United Farm Workers is going to be putting an online petition, we're going to go ahead and circulate it to everybody so you can sign it online and you can continue to be part of the movement. One other thing that I did want to mention is the senator had 2 of his bills approved and signed by the governor. One of them is Senate Bill 956, which modernizes K-12 school district school facilities for renovating and constructing of new on-campus facilities. And that's going to be very important as we continue to have a ballot measure on November, $10 billion actually. So it's going to be really great for us to be able to leverage that bill in the event that we have that ballot measure also approved. And then the last one that got signed by the governor is Senate Bill 1226, which protects the constitutional rights of Californians to hunt in navigable flood waters for fishing and hunting. So if you're into that, now you can go ahead and do so without getting charged with a trespassing charge. All right, thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jose Luis Pacheco. I'm one of the 13 CalPER board members at large in the state, a statewide elected individual. I wanted to report out on some awesome returns that we've had at CalPER. So as of June 30th, 2024, that at our offsite in Monterey, we reported out that our investment returns were 9.3%, which exceeded the target rate of return of 6.8%. That's a marked increase for our system. In addition to that, our funded status increased up to 73%. Again, we have done very, very well in terms of this. Most of the returns have actually come from our private markets and so forth, and we are moving in that direction. In fact, we are actually also committed $100 billion into the new Sustainable Investment 2030 plan that we are implementing in focusing on the green economy. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here today as Green Foothills alumni. Rose asked that I come and make an announcement because our community supervisors, Silvia Arenas, along with others, have contributed. I put the flyers out on the seats, and there's more flyers. This is a leadership program, which I am an alumni from 2017. And our city, it's County of Santa Clara and County of San Mateo. There's about 20, 25, but we want to secure some of the scholarships that were provided by our city of San Jose, our county, and I want to, the reason I'm standing before you guys because I definitely want to reach out to the community college leaders here because I feel that the feeder, we really need to build community with our youth, and even though it's diverse, every age is represented, very diverse. I encourage anybody who has an important campaign to lead to participate.
Good evening, buenas tardes. Mayra Garcia with the Enlace program at Evergreen Valley College. We're one of the academic programs on campus, and one of the important components is mentoring. I'm here today because about 2 years ago, we were able to start the Don Victor Scholarship. He was our founding mentor, and we are blessed that he was able to see that scholarship before his passing. I was not fortunate to be at his last goodbye, but it was shared with me that a lot of the members in the community are interested in how they could honor him, and I'm here to share that this is one of the ways. So if you're interested in donating to the Don Victor Scholarship so that our Enlace students can benefit who are transferring to the four-year universities, who many are in the institutions, companies, organizations that all of you are part of. So I'll be in the back and then also have flyers, so thank you. If you can't donate with money, you can also donate your time being a mentor, so I'll be in the back. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Maria Fuentes. I'm a trustee with the San Jose Evergreen Community College District, for those that don't know me. Okay, so my announcements are that we have, I think I announced before, but Beatriz Chaidez, Dr. Beatriz Chaidez is our new chancellor. It's been about a couple of months that she's been in the position, but I know she's going to be coming to the meetings here to, I was looking for, where'd he go? I was looking for the president. She's going to be coming to the meetings here to make a presentation. Also, I want to announce that we have a new president at Evergreen Valley College. His name is Dr. Vinicio Lopez, and he will be starting in October, and you can also expect to see him here. I want to let you know that at our board meeting this week, we passed a resolution in honor and in recognition of Victor Garza. And I want to get a copy so that maybe we can put it somewhere here, because I see a lot of things about Victor, but it really means a lot to us that we did that. And also I want to say that I want to do something more in honoring him in our district, so please talk to me about that if you have ideas.
Hello, I'm Gabrielle Antolovich, and I'm with the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ+ Center. And next Saturday at 1:30, Representative Zoe Lofgren is coming to our center to talk about the Congressional Free Thought Caucus and the separation of church and state. So it's a really important aspect of what is happening in the world today. And just because we're an LGBTQ+ center, we do welcome our allies, and we don't test people at the door. So everyone is welcome. And she is a wonderful speaker. So please come next Saturday at 1:30 and come through the back of the parking lot. The other thing we are doing is we are working with PACT, People Acting in Community Together, and we are providing phone banking training so people can support the, I'm sorry, can support Evan Lowe's changing the Constitution that marriage is not just between a man and a woman. He wants to do marriage equality. So,
Hi, excuse me, excuse me, Lori Chavez with Conexión. I just have an opportunity for everybody or anybody that needs office space or space to hold meetings. The front of this building is available, and we have classrooms, offices, even examination rooms. And next Thursday, I believe, we're going to have an open house, or maybe it's the 12th. We'll send out information. So you could come tour it. If you know anybody, send them over. It's a great location for the community we serve and the people we serve right here on Story Road. So if you want more information, see me.